wealth, fame, power. Gold Roger, the king of the pirates, attained everything this world has to offer. The words he uttered just before his death drove people to the seas.
My treasure? If you want it, you can have it. Find it. I left everything this world has to offer there.
One Piece, a globally loved manga and anime with universally loved characters. My favourite's Bartolomeo, by the way. If you know anything about this show, then you know how crazy the power system is, with devil fruits, species-specific martial arts, and then a billion different fighting styles on top of that just don't make sense. But those outlandish powers are part of the reason we love the story. We never know how a character is going to fight when they show up, so what better way to learn than to experience it? Now, Zoro's known for getting lost, but I think he may have travelled a bit too far this time, and has ended up in our Terraria. But we're going to use that to our advantage, and have him teach us how to be a master swordsman. So once more, there's the question. How easy is Terraria if Zoro teaches me how to fight? So let's start by making our character. Now, the One Piece mod adds a few races for us to choose from, like Fishman, Skypian, or even Lunarian. Each have their own buffs and drawbacks, but we end up deciding on Mink, specifically a rabbit mink. See, minks get a massive boost to all of their stats during a full moon, but other than that, they operate the same as a normal human in Terraria, minus a slight increase to jump height and the ability to create static electricity. We spawn in and start the journey with a mysterious devil fruit bag. What could be inside? Oh my god. It's Blackbeard's Yami Yami Nomi. Insane, but we're gonna try and not rely on it too heavily. After all, this playthrough we want to focus on our swordsmanship, but we'd be silly not to test it out a little, right? We start by building the standard council flats. I promise one of these challenges I'll lock in and actually make something nice. And our first One Piece character moves in, Buggy the Clown. I don't know why he's a friendly NPC, I truly have no clue, but it's another character from the show for us to see, so I'm happy. Buggy is then promptly followed by Ivankov, who immediately jumps into our elevator and tries to off themselves. Ivankov has a really useful mechanic in this, honestly, playing on their Horu Horu Nomi, which allows them to change a character's race, gender, and appearance at any time, something I did briefly without realising. We buy some sake from Buggy, and having that allows Zoro to finally appear, and us to take on the swordsman fighting style he offers, which allows us to wield 2-sword and 3-sword style, and also use the special moves that each of them come equipped with. We throw together a basic 2-sword style from some weapons we recovered from some rogue pirates we encountered. We build ourselves some silver armor, and decide to take on the first challenge, King Slime. After defeating him, he gives us our first bounty poster. See, we use these bounty posters to increase our own bounty, which in turn gives us access to new things in shops, allows us to upgrade our fighting style, and eventually improve our haki. It also drops the first actual katana that's added with the mod. And then it's time to fight the Eye of Cthulhu, which ends up spawning naturally just as we use a summon item. So we have to rely on our devil fruit a little bit to deal with both at the same time, but we pull it off. And are rewarded with another bounty increase, our swordsmanship reaching level 1, and the first glimpse into understanding our haki, specifically armament haki, which increases our damage output percentage while active. We speak to Zoro and purchase what I can only assume is a replica Wado Ichimanju, as I doubt he would just get rid of it like that, and make our first 3-sword style using spare swords, which I think is based on when Yosaku and Johnny lent him their swords, but who knows, and build ourselves a little storage area using the ever useful magic storage mod. Seriously, if you're not using this, how much space are you taking up on your world? We decide to take on our first pirate captain, Buggy the Clown, which is weird considering he lives with us, but we move past it. Now this mod adds so much, but unfortunately there are only pre-hard mode bosses, but we're going to make the most out of them. He goes down quite quickly, all things considered, but his fight's really fun, and I like how they've utilised his Devil Fruit in it. But it could also have been easier because we relied on our Devil Fruit for range. Regardless, during this fight we're reminded of training against our childhood best friend. Next up is fishing for shrimp. Why? I hear you asking through your monitor. Well, because we need them for the next boss, Don Krieg. We upgrade our flats and fit one with an oven. Luxury living, I know. So Sanji can move in, as he's the only way to actually get the boss summon item we need. But after all that fishing, I realise once he's moved in that he just outright sold the summon item we needed, wasting time, but we keep it schmovin' and head to the beach to summon Don Krieg. This fight is rough, I won't lie, even with the assistance of Haki and our Devil Fruit. I'm still adamant that if he hadn't got stuck on the sand, we wouldn't have won. Does he drop anything we need? Not particularly, but I wanted to fight him as he's a new boss. What's the harm in that? Big old wormy boy is next. We need to beat the Eater of Worlds to create our own altar. A new weapon, new armor, a load of stuff. So let's lock in and... oh. That was way easier than I thought it would be. So, I guess we head off to the next boss? With our new Shimasuki 3-sword style, Sawtooth Arlong steps up next, which, honestly, fighting him by lantern light on a beach was kind of beautiful. And with him defeated, I think it's safe to say we've earned ourselves a new little armor set, the Captain Shadow armor, which is added with the mod and boosts our stamina, that's used for special attacks and our Devil Fruit damage. There's not so much full armor sets that are added with this mod, as opposed to a new helm that we equip that changes how other armor sets would give us boosts. We head to the desert and take on the second to last of our One Piece bosses, known for his iconic end credit scene.
久しぶりだな Mugiwara.
Who has an annoying amount of AoE attacks and hovers just above us the entire fight. It really pesters me, I won't lie. So do we use our Yami Yami Nomi to deal with him? Maybe. But he eventually goes down and gives us Sandstorm in a bottle, which is quite a funny touch. But also a very welcome one, as up till now we haven't even been able to traverse across even 2 block high water because we're a Devil Fruit user. We rely on ropes and stuff to cross, which is just inefficient and boring. We head home where we're set upon by a crew of goblins. Now, I don't know what Jolly Roger they're flying, but this place is under our protection. So we fend them off, which is so satisfying with our sword's piercing attack, just cleaving through them. And they drop us the next sword we need. Then it's to our beloved Queen Bee. I don't know why I insist on fighting her every playthrough, I just enjoy the fight. It's not like it's challenging in any regard, she has a very basic attack pattern, but there's just something about it. I don't know how to explain it. But with her down, we head home and make our Logue Town 3-sword style. With these 3 swords and our Haki, I'm pretty sure we're ready for the last challenge added with the mod, a Sea King. Not just any Sea King either, we're getting a little vengeance here, as it's the same Sea King that stalks the waters outside Windmill Village. You know, the one that took Shanks' arm? I'm still convinced he did it for aura more than anything, because he could have easily dealt with the Sea King, but I digress. We challenge the mighty beast, who's quite easy. I don't know why everyone's scared of these things. And it drops a bubbly coral, which gives us a protective bubble, so we're no longer put at a disadvantage in water. Honestly, it's one of the most useful items we get in this entire run. Not only that, but we head home and fashion the scales it drops into some hideous armor, but if it helps, it helps. I'm not one to look a gift horse in the mouth. Following our quest for new and stronger swords to reach our end goal, we end up fighting Skeletron. We quickly deal with his arms, and thanks to the special attack from our our Logetown 3-sword style, we finish him off, collecting yet another sword and another bump up to our bounty. We head home and upgrade our weapons to the Thriller Bark 2-sword style. It's only while recording the audio that I've realised that the sword you need to make the Thriller Bark 2-sword style, where Brook is introduced, is obtained from a skeleton boss. Kind of funny. However, if we want to keep getting better and better swords, we're going to need the Goblin Tinker and his workbench. We're going to have to re-roll our stats on so much gear and so many of the weapons. So we set about looking for him in the caverns below home, using our observation haki, which makes enemies glow red and friendlies glow green, along with displaying useful info on how much damage and defense an enemy has, and oh, there he is. We escort him home and slide the Tinkerer table into our crafting terminal. Wall of Flesh. Out of all of the bosses, you're the most consistent with your attack patterns and your... What was that? Did we just... Never mind. Attempt number 2. Without using our sword skill this time. And oh, look at that damage. Not too much, but not too little. Zoro might be onto something here. We defeat the wall, throwing us into hard mode. Harder bosses, sure, but also better swords. We also ended up getting the emblem we needed straight away. It doesn't get much more perfect than that. And we're now closing in on our friend, who, on one hand, I'd love to go back to how things were, but I know he's turned down the wrong path now, so I don't know if it'd be a good idea, or if he'd even want to. We use the Pwn Hammer that the Wall of Flesh dropped, and start on the back and forth of breaking altars, mining ore, upgrading furnaces, breaking altars, mining ore, upgrading our pick, etc, etc, and repeating. We all know the early hard mode drill at this point. And then we get to gathering some souls in the underground. See, we need the souls of the night to upgrade our Wado Ichimanji into the new world Wado Ichimanji, the first of our hard mode swords. Although it's a little slower than attacking with 3 swords, there is a significant damage boost, and it's very welcome. So it's only logical to test it out. It's what Zoro would do, right? First on our plate is the Destroyer, who honestly, much like the Eater of Worlds, doesn't stand up to our endless piercing attacks that are a byproduct of our sword. So next up on the list is the twins. If you know anything about me, you know how much I suck at fighting them, so we have to do an obligatory death on the first attempt. It's a warm-up, I promise. See, I told you, warm-up works. And the funny thing, each of the eyes have their own individual bounty, so we get a nice little boost to our own after using both of their posters. We may as well deal with the last member of the mechanical bosses straight away. So that means Skeletron Prime, and with our haki empowering our sword's piercing projectiles, we're able to deal damage to most of his arms and head at the same time. After Skeletron Prime is dealt with, we're able to unlock the first advancement of our armament haki. Granted, we need to train it to unlock its full potential, but it's the same with anything, and the boost it gives us is very needed. Along with our stronger haki, we also make ourselves the Hallowed Captain's Armor, using the Hallowed Bars and Souls that are dropped from the mechanical bosses we just defeated, only to immediately be swapped out for Chlorophyte Armor.
But so green.
Now that we're dripped head to toe in green, the next step should be to take on the other greenest creature in this world to prove we're better, Plantera. After setting up a little bit of an arena for her, the bulb spawns right next to us. She's eager for the challenge, that's good. Now, our damage still isn't great, but god, I love the piercing attacks. It makes those annoying little sprouts in phase 2 so much easier to deal with. with Plantera dealt with, we can use some ectoplasm we gathered from the dungeon now to unlock the New World Sandai Kitetsu two-sword style. Now, we love our haki. It's great. It helps out so much in boss fights with its extra damage and piercing and stuff, but it's still not as strong as it could be. See, we can upgrade it to Ryuo, which is the strongest and final form unlockable in this mod, but we need to defeat another boss in order to unlock it, and be closer to challenging our childhood friend, to try and beat some sense into him. Luckily, however, the boss we need for Ryuo is the next boss we need to fight, Golem, who's hiding away in a temple deep beneath the jungle. Robin also said that there might be something called a poneglyph down there. Who knows? We make our way to said temple, fighting the lizards, and making our way to the final room to summon the golem. It was a very uneventful fight, all things considered, minus the fact that we forgot to pop our potions and buffs until about halfway through, which I seem to be doing a lot with golems specifically. We beat it, unlocking the Ryuo we were after. The Empress of Light is up next, as she's holding Enma, our next sword, hostage, but as we aren't a match for her. So we start by upgrading our armor into Spectre armor, no more being green for us unfortunately, and then we make Rokugan, which was frustrating to get, as we needed to defeat certain special mimics that we encounter by fishing with a specific rod and using devil fruits, and even then it's only got a percentage of the right one being spawned on Sky Islands, and it was a whole ordeal. It was annoying to say the least, but we ball, and it was well worth it, as the buffs we get from it are crazy. It is technically a Sanji item, yes, but I'm bad, so we need it. We head to the Hollow and kill the butterfly that summons Empress, only to get absolutely rocked. But it's fine, that was a warm-up, and we know what happens after a warm-up. I don't fight Empress much, as you can probably tell from the footage, but I really enjoyed the fight. Not only that, but it's very visually engaging. With Empress of Light dead, we gain access to the Enma she was holding hostage, one of the last swords of the run, wielded by the great Odin of Wano. It's finally time to challenge our friend. We head over to the dungeon and deal with his fellow cultist members, pop our buffs and potions, preemptively this time, and challenge him. It seems being with these people has made him much stronger than when we last fought, but he's abandoned the sword for forbidden magics, and that's unacceptable. He's beyond saving, so we have to sadly put an end to him. But it seems like his power didn't come from studying and hard work. He took the short path, and as his body was being destroyed, it seemed to unleash 4 pillars of differing energy. These must be what cursed him so long ago and caused him to join the cult. We might not be able to bring him back, but maybe dealing with this will allow his soul to rest. We equip our 102 sword style and set off to deal with the first 2 pillars. Nebula Pillar is the first, the manifestation of raw magic power. Solar, which is raw melee power, collecting their essence as we do so to allow us to make our final weapon of the run. The Wano 3-sword style. With only 2 pillars and the great cosmic entity left, it seems only fitting to don the iconic outfit of the man who trained us, so let's lock in. Whew. Only one thing left to do. Now, I don't know what kind of cosmic horror devil fruit the next guy ate, but he is scary looking. But he has to go down for our friend. We chow down on our food and potions to buff ourselves for this fight, and get ready. It's rough, but with the big arches of our blades, our Ryuo empowered piercing attacks, and our skywalk from Rokugan for air mobility, we're finally able to deal the last hit. With our friend avenged from the vile curse he was under, and this land freed of all threats, doesn't seem like there's anything else to do here. But I've got a taste for fighting now, and I know that there's stronger swords out there. I think the only logical step is to head to open waters and search for our next adventure. Who knows, we might even build a crew.